Alrighty, you all are here for Google Sites and how to stay connected to your students using that tool. So I'm going to share my screen. When you have decided to create a website, and some of you haven't decided, it's just been thrust upon you, but you need to have these 3 steps. You need to have a plan. So, and in part of that plan, you need to choose a website type. You need to consider your audience and the devices, and then state the purposes and needs. I'm going to go through these pretty quick because I actually want you to have some hands-on time if you're up for it. Not all of you will be, and that's okay. You can watch. So website type. Most of you are going to choose an informative type. So those are educational sites. An informative site conveys specific information, how-tos, guides, materials, links to resources. That is an informative site. So that's probably going to be the type you are going to select. You have to consider the audience and the devices. What are your students going to be using? What are you going to be using? What are your colleagues going to be using? Who's going to be using this website? All of those questions have to be answered. If you're going to be projecting to a class, that's a pretty big screen. If you know that your students are going to be remote and they all have computers, you can base your website on that. Or if you know that they're going to be on tablets or phones. Phones are not optimum, but they can be used. You need to consider that when you're building your site. You also need to have an idea of what the heck is this site for? What needs to be on it? And that, in simple terms, is a mission statement. Now, when people say those 2 words together, you have to have a mission statement, everyone gets scared. It's all you're doing is stating the purpose of the site. So all you have to do is answer the questions. What will the site be used to do? What does it need to include? Come on, moving on. There we go. Next, we're going to plot. We're going to plot the what, the where's, the which, the whens, and the how's. Okay? You want to have a list, you want to organize, and a map. It's really simple, but you really need to write this down a little bit. If you don't, you're going to get lost. So first thing you do is maybe create a bubble chart, and you write all the little things that you want on your website. Every single thing that you can think of. Just write it all out. And then kind of organize them a little bit. Organize them and maybe put them in columns, because one of the things that was written on the other slide was info. I want a lot of info on my site. Well, info are class schedules, they're maps, the school schedule, frequently asked questions. All of these are related to info. So this would be my top level info, would be my top level point on my site, a top level page instead of using the word point. ESL might be a top level page. High school diploma and GED. Now this is for a program. So you need to decide, are you creating a class page and you're going to have different areas? Or are you creating classes page? Or are you creating a program page? So every one of those types of informational sites will have different needs. So you get to choose, or you as the builder get to select what the containers are for the topics. Then you fine tune it, and as soon as you fine tune it, boom, you have a site map. So here's a site map that I created, actually copying some information off of, is anybody here from El Monte Rosemead? I actually ripped off their site map and used it as a demo here. So, and some of the areas I changed because it didn't quite fit into this presentation. So as soon as you get all of this organized to this, you have this, and this is your site map. Now you can start creating. And you get started creating per this webinar with Google Sites. Google Sites is really easy to use and it's free. There's also a couple of other site builders out there in the world. Wix would be another one I would recommend. I'm going to make this bigger for me. I am actually going to go to Google Sites. And that's the wrong one. Here we go, Google Sites. So I have a couple of counts, and that quick little view was of another site. When you go to sites.google.com, you will open to something similar to this if you have already built a site. If you haven't, then you're going to see basically a blank page. And let me see if I can make this bigger for you. With this big plus sign in the lower right-hand corner. All right, I'm going to go back to 100%. Right here, I have 3 sites that are already built. Actually, I have 2 sites that are built, and this one has been shared with me. Okay, so I'm going to create a new site right now by clicking on the plus button. And again, I'm having patience because it takes a little time sometimes. So here's my site. No one can see this site until I do something called publish, which is not letting me do yet anyway, so it's not a big deal. You actually have to title your site. It won't let you publish it without a title. So I'm going to title this demo.
Melinda.
Or, yes.
Okay, I'm not sure that you mentioned this, but can you just talk about briefly signing into a Google account or not signing into a Google account, kind of that first step before we get to the actual sites?
Sure.
Because here's another question too, is Google Sites available when using a regular Google account, not G Suite?
You can use a Google account, yes. Google account is available on the @gmail.com account, which is the club or pub. All right, that's a public account, and it's also available through G Suites edu if your network coordinator has turned it on. So if you are signed into your district email, your club, and you go to sites.google.com and nothing appears, or it says you must have administrative rights, or it says your administrator must turn this on, then you don't have it yet. It is available. It's just a checkbox that needs to be checked. But that through G Suites, the network administrator controls it. I am signed in. So I went to google.com, I signed in, and then when I sign into any tool, I can go directly to that tool because I'm signed into one. When you're signed into one Google, you're signed into all Googles. So I am signed in. I'm actually signed into 2 accounts right now. I'm signed into my club and my pub. If I went here, you would see I have a bunch of different accounts. So right here is my club account, M. Holt at SCOE, and it's probably really small on your screen. And here's my SCOE Tech. That's my pub account, both trainer accounts that I use.
And Melinda.
Yes.
So some people, when they go to sites.google.com, are getting the message, should I use a classic site or a new site?
Oh, they're still doing that. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you
Right.
asked that question. Do
Right.
not ever, ever, ever use the classic site. Don't do it unless you know HTML. And if anybody asks, what is HTML? You don't know it. So don't use it. Okay. I can't explain it right now, not in this workshop. So it's more in web design. So use the new Google Sites.
And then Melinda, one more question.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, do students need Gmail or a Google account to go to a Google site?
No. Nobody, everybody can access the site that you are building. Now, some teachers go, oh my God, I only want my students to see this. I'm going to show you some ways to get that done. You publish your site. It can be found. Can you make it to where just some people see it? Kind of. So anybody can see it. Your students don't have to be signed into Google. They don't have to be signed into anything. When you give them the link to your site, they can go. And by the way, as much as we like to think that we are the latest and greatest, the site that you are creating, if anyone did a search for ESL teacher, and that was the name of your site, it would probably be hit number 10,459,000, whatever. Okay. So unless your site is really, really popular, you really don't have to worry too much about people finding it. But there's a way to turn that off too. Any more questions that need answering?
Yeah, Melinda. So back on the classic versus new question, is there a way to know if you're looking at a classic site versus a new site?
Yes. A classic site. Oh boy, I really didn't want. I'm going to go there. You want to know what it looks like? I'm going to show you what it looks like. Right, it's grinding right now because it's really. Here's some old Google sites that I created. I'm going to try this one. I don't even remember. Yeah, here we go. So this is a Google site that I created. Okay, so this site is really, really hard to create. It's not drag and drop, it's import, it's insert, and the tools that you get here it's hard to use. So unless you understand HTML, cascading style sheets, don't use this. So when you open up sites, if you use it for the first time as new, then it will open up as new for you. So this right here, back to classic sites. Yes, I have some sites built on classic, but I haven't used this in years. So it's much easier to use the new.
Can you briefly explain why you would use a site versus Google Classroom?
Google site. Let me, actually, I'm going to show you a website that was created by Mount Diablo, which is Anthony's old stomping ground. And Marin Anton gave me...
Marin's in the room.
Marin's in the house. Woohoo! Well, now you know what happens when you actually give me edit rights on your site. I show it to people. So this is a site that she was working on. I don't know that if this is a current site of hers or not, but this is a website. So what's the difference between this and the classroom? Well, we have hours and location. Not only that, but the main thing is nobody has to sign in to see this. Nobody has to sign in. They can get the information right here. So if you want to give your students a quick and easy access to Burlington English or to USA Learns or putting English to work, whatever, or some document that you have online, all you have to do is create a site. They don't have to sign into anything. They don't need an email in order to use a site, right? So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here because she's got citizenship class, conversations classes, and down here, this is something that she only wanted certain people to see. So she didn't share it with me. Okay, and if she shared it with the student would be able to see it. But let's say student 1, okay? But if she didn't share it with student 2, then student 2 would not be able to see it. Or you could put it in a folder and you share the entire folder with all of your students and you put those documents in it. In your Google Drive, you have a folder that you shared with all of your students, and then you put that information on your site. They don't have to sign in. Well, they do have to sign into their Google at that time. So this is a site. Why do you want to use this instead of a classroom? The sign in is the key. I don't want them to have to sign in. I just want them to have some quick and easy links to go to. Click, boom, they're ready to rock and roll. Now this is the website builder. If I wanted to, you can view the site by going to the address, and we'll do that with, I don't want to do this to Marin, so I want to do it with the one that we're going to be building.
I believe so, Melinda. Yeah, I'll just add, really the website in my mind is kind of a repository. It's a place where you can store resources. But if you're wanting to set up a Google Classroom, you're wanting students to actually do more classroom type work that you can monitor in that. So you can set up a discussion board, you can have students submit assignments, you can have them do quizzes, whatever. It's a lot more involved than a Google site. A Google site is just getting resources organized in one place.
And folks, I think Anthony just volunteered to do a Google Classroom workshop, but we'll see. We'll see about that.
I'm not a classroom expert, but we'll see about that.
We can tag team. I'll do the how-tos and you do the why-fors. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
all
Linda,
right.
there was one more question. It's not really a sites question. It's more, the question was, how do you sign into two Google accounts without signing out of the other?
Come to office hours, please. I'll explain that later. That's going way off the topic here. And it's really handy to be able to do it, but it's not part of this workshop. Okay, I'm not trying to, well, yeah, I am. I'm trying to push that question aside so I can get to the Google sites. Okay, if we have time at the end, I'll address it. If not, come to office hours or send me an email, mholt@otan.us, and I can explain it to you. Okay, so if you're following along and you've finally opened up sites.google.com and you've clicked on that plus button down in the lower right-hand corner, I'm circling it now with my mouse. I know it's really small. This is what you're going to see. It automatically does a template for you. We'll discuss that in a sec, but you need to name your site. And when you do name your site, then you'll be able to publish. Now, don't publish it yet because we haven't really done anything yet, but you will be able to publish it. Once a site is published, then the world can see it. Okay? Will the world see it? Only if they have the link. Because remember, you're much as I love you all, you're not that important to the world right now, unless you become someone that you know, like TED Talks and everybody's talking about you. Okay, so no one's going to have that link except your students. So name your site, and notice that when you name your site, it becomes the tab name up here. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. This right here, this demo for remote that I have, I could make that a number 4 and it will not change the tab name. This is my file name. This is something for me. This is for the people who are using my site. So I might want to put some spaces in there. And notice as soon as I do that the tab has demo for remote with spaces. Okay. Google, you automatically have a page already created for you. At the top, you will have what's called a header. Okay, this is the header or the banner, and you're allowed to change the header type. If you hover over the header, you can see this button right here, header type. And right now it's just a regular banner, but I could make it title only. Usually the first page you come to on a website, you want it a little more prominent. A banner is a good place to start. A large banner takes up a lot of real estate. I don't recommend it. And cover, I would never use this on a website. So I like this. I'm going to keep it. By the way, if you want to, you can also upload an image. If you have your own image, maybe of your school site, or you took a picture of the classroom with the closed sign on it, you could put that on your banner here if you wanted to. You don't have to. There's lots of different types of themes that you can use on a page. Before we get to themes, which is actually going to be next, I'm going to name this page something that will mean something to my students. Something that maybe that means something about my class. So Google Class. Okay. Would you name your site Google Class or your homepage Google Class? Probably not, unless you were teaching Google to all of your students. Okay. So choose a name that means something to you, but also means something to the people who are coming to your site. Remember, you have to think of your audience when you're creating a site. Off to the right-hand side, you're going to have some really cool tabs. Insert is where it always lands. We'll get to that in a minute. Pages is, that's where your pages are. But right here, I want everyone to click on themes if you're following along, or just look. I'm going to see if I can make this a little bigger. Look at that, I can. So on the themes tab, we have, it's always defaulted to simple. You can change the color of your site. You cannot change the color of pages. Whatever you do in themes is what happens to the entire site. So you can't create different pages with different themes. And once you set your theme, you should probably leave it alone. So I like the color, I don't know, purple. I like the color black. You can also change your color by clicking on the paint bucket. And then you can choose a color. Now, maybe the color that you choose isn't exactly web compliant. So Google, that special blue that you really like, Google's going to morph it a little bit so it becomes web compliant. Okay, so you can choose your own color, but if it doesn't quite match what you were dreaming, that's probably why. And it says that here, some font colors may be changed for readability, and that's just web compliance. Font style, be careful with this because on different devices it looks different. These are the only font styles that you have with this theme, the simple theme. You have light, You have classic, which might not be a good read for some of our students, or heavy, which that doesn't look good either. So I'm not really too thrilled with this theme. I already kind of know the theme that I like. My default is the Aristotle. My font style is modern. So at the Google Sites that I've created, this is very readable. I choose different colors depending on where or what site I'm doing. I move it around and stuff. But notice this background didn't change. Right, so on Aristotle, you don't have so much control over the banner, but you do have control over the underlines or the wraparounds. This will make more sense as you're creating. You'll see what the font looks like. So that's going to be my theme for this website. Alrighty, now a website isn't really any good unless it has something on it. Right now, all this has on it is my header or my banner. So there's a couple of ways to add things. You have your tools over here. We've got a text box. We can add images. We can add things from our drive. So your Google Drive, if you have a document, maybe a spelling test, or maybe a read, some story that you want your students to read, you can actually put that on your website using this button right here. You can also, I'm going to go right onto the page, onto the white area, and I'm going to double click. And when you double click, you get the tools all right there for you. So we can, not only that, but you get another one called upload. So right here, I can click on this T and I get a text box. So you might want to type something to the effect of about this site, because that tells people what is this site supposed to be used for. When you create a text box, oops, went ahead too far. When you create a text box, when you're starting to type, you'll get this toolbar. Okay, when you click off of the text, the toolbar disappears. When you click on the text, the toolbar appears. You can make your text a title, a heading, a subheading, or really small. You will want to fiddle around with all of those options because they give you different ways of communicating. So I'm going to make this a heading, and notice the title turned blue. I didn't turn it blue. It went with my theme. Okay. Can I make it a different color? No, you cannot. So that's something with the theme. There's nothing I can do about it. So I got about this site. And that's going to be my my heading for here. This site will never be used. Now, hopefully yours will. Okay, and that's how you that's how you add a text box. Okay, now as I'm hovering over here, I notice that I have some tools appear off to the right-hand side. I have a palette, a section background is what it's called. I have the duplicate section. So if you create a section with a bunch of good material and you don't want to have to retype everything, you can use this, or you can trash it because there's just something about it that's not sitting well, or it's just not doing what you wanted it to, so you can delete it. Also, when you're hovering or clicking on an element, because these are all elements that you add to your site, you'll get these little blue handles, blue grab bars, and I can make this smaller. Now, you cannot see this, and I know you can't because I've asked people in the past, but if you're working on your own site and you grab your blue handle and you start dragging it, you'll see these little tiny gray lines going down the page. And let's see. So you can make things fit within a page. Okay. So I'm going to add another text box. And it's actually a good idea. I'm just going to give this as an aside. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to type lorem ipsum into the chat, or not into the chat, but into the search. So lorem, Lorem, ipsum, IPSUM. And this is a really good site. So when you just need some text and you need it to be gibberish, you can go here and it will create some gibberish for you. So here is some here. I'm just going to select it. I'm going to copy so that when I go to my site, because I know I want some text here, but I'm not quite sure what I want it to say yet, I just paste that lorem ipsum. So it's also a placeholder, so I get an idea of how big that can be. Okay, and you can make your text boxes bigger or smaller by using the handles. If I decide I want this text box to be below this one, different handles appear. And I'm going to try and zoom in. This, I don't know if you can see this or not. So there are little gray buttons. There's 10 of them, 5 on the upside and 5 on the downside here. Right here, if in my my cursor turns into the north, south, east, west arrow. Okay, so I'm going to back out so I can actually see what I'm doing. Right here, there's the handle. I can click, hold, and drag it to another section, to another area. So if you put some text over here on the right and you really want it on the left, you can move it. We have to be careful though when we're moving things, because sometimes they attach to one another. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Nope, still didn't do it. I'll show it to you later. It's bound to happen because it happens to me all the time. What else can you do? You can add images. You can upload or select from your Google Drive, your Google Photos. Let's go ahead and select one. Let's see, we're going to go to Photos.
And Melinda,
yes.
Along those lines, there was a question about adding video as well.
Yes, you can, and yes, I will. That's coming up. So I don't like any of these images, so I'm going to upload from my, come on, yeah, see, click, be patient, be patient. So here are a bunch of images that I created. Okay, so here's the image. Okay, and I can put it in this section. If you're following along, please look at the screen right now, because I see blue lines appear as I'm dragging this in this top section. When I go down here, the blue lines change and I know I'm in the second section. Do you see that big blue line on the left-hand side? That tells me I'm in the second section. When I'm up here, the big blue line is on the left, but that's the smaller section. So I can put it wherever I want. And then the section may get bigger or it may make the image smaller depending on what I did. If I want to make this section bigger now, using the graphic, it cropped it. There we go. So that's how you can put an image in. Now, videos. Yes, you can put videos in. We're going to go using the Insert tab. We're going to scroll down to the bottom. And actually, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I don't want videos on this homepage. I want people to actually have to click to another page in order to get to the videos that maybe I've created. So I'm going to click on Pages. On the far right-hand side underneath the Publish, you're going to get a Pages tab. And we see we have one page called Home. I can rename that page if I wish, because as I hover in line with it, as my cursor is moving in line with that word Home, I get the skinny snowman, 3 dots. So I click on those 3 dots and I can duplicate the page, because maybe this is a really cool page and I want everything on it exactly the same except maybe the name. Or I can go to the properties of the page and rename it. So I'm going to hit done because I don't want to do either one of those things. Down at the bottom of the Pages tab, you're going to see a plus button, much like you did when you created your site. And we're going to add a new page. And we're going to call this page Videos and say done. It automatically goes to the videos. It opens it up for you and puts it there. Okay, so now we want to insert a video. So I'm going to go back to the Inserts menu. I'm going to scroll down until I see YouTube. You can also add videos from your Google Drive if you've created your own videos. If you have videos on your Google Drive that you created that are MP4s, you can also insert those as well. It's better to have a YouTube channel and to have your videos there, and then to go here, open up your video. You'll probably know the link by heart, and then insert it. So I'm going to go video search. Let's see if this will come up. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Created in 2014. So here's a video. Again, when I click on the element, I get the handles around it. I can make it as small or as big as I want. Okay, it is in this section right here because when I'm dragging it, well, it's the only section. So I can add text to the side. Watch this video and remember it for the test. By the way, if you make spelling errors on your site, your students will find it. Just keep that in mind. Let's see, what else can we do here? Let's say I wanted to add also, along with the videos page, I'm going to go back to pages, and I'm going to create another page by using the plus symbol. And we're going to name this vocabulary lists or vocab lists. Okay, and now that I'm thinking about it, and as I look off to the side at the plan that I have created, it dawns on me that the vocab list and the videos should actually be in the resources area. They should not be their own top level pages, because if you're following along, you'll see that you have a home page, vocab lists, and videos all at the top level of your home page. So I'm going to create yet another page, resources, and hit done. Now, here's where it gets fun. I'm going to click, hold, and drag my vocab list page into resources. And then I'm going to click, oh, wait, look what happened. So my menu automatically changes all by itself. I clicked, held, and dragged vocab list up to resources. That's where it is. I'm going to do the same thing with videos. Boom. Now it looks like I only have 2 pages, but if you notice, there's a drop-down arrow, and when I hover over it, it tells me that vocab lists and videos are within resources. So you can create subpages, and you can create subpages within subpages. However you want to do it. You can have subpages within subpages. Be careful though. Don't get so thrilled with this new thing that you found that you create a subpage that goes down 10 levels, because students won't look down that far. So this is about as far as you want to get. Maybe one more level if you really have to, okay? Something else you might want to do, I'm going to create one more page here because I'm going to call this quizzes. And I'm going to hit done. And I don't want people to see this. Notice it's on my main menu and it's listed in my pages, but I don't want people to know it's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that skinny snowman in line with quizzes, and I'm going to hide from navigation. And there you go. Folks, if people don't know what the link is, they're not going to go to it. They can't open it if they don't know what it is. Can you reorder the pages? Absolutely. So I have resources right here. Let's say I want it, well, I have to have more pages. So I'm going to drag I'm going to drag vocabulary lists out, and I'm going to put it at the home level. All right, put it underneath home. Come on now. There we go. Any minute. Yes, you can click, hold, and drag. There. Took me a minute. So we've got home, vocab list, and resources. Okay, so yes, you can reorder these pages any shape, way, or form you want. You just need to drag them where you want them to go. If you drag a top level page, it will drag the sub page with it. So if I dragged resources underneath vocab list, videos came with it. And over here, it should have moved. So if it doesn't work one way, it's going to work the other.
Melinda?
Yes.
Can we take a few questions or a few
You
other questions?
betcha. Please, please, please.
Okay. So you talked about the reordering the pages. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, there was a question back when you were talking about, when you were showing us how to add an image. So the question is, how do you add a hyperlink to an image? So for example, maybe you have a logo for a website, and then you'd want, if people hovered over the image, they could just click the image and then go directly to the website.
Okay. I will show you how to do that, but I'm going to preface that with That's a bad thing to do, I've been told, because it's not accessible. So what you want to do, you can be accessible and do that at the same time. So I'm going to drag, no, I'm not. I'm going to add some text. And I'm going to, let's see, www.otan.us. And I'm going to drag that on top of the image. There we go. All right. Now, what I've done is I've just created text. So let's select the text and let's make that a link. When you select the text, remember you get that bar, that formatting bar, and one of those things that comes up, one of those little tools, is insert link. So you click that. And because I had already typed www.utan.us, Google knows that's a web address. So I didn't have to do anything further. But let's make believe I had typed OTAN. And when I select the text and then click link, Google doesn't know OTAN. Sad but true. So what we need to do is then, after we select the text, we select the link, we're going to type www.otan.us. And we're going to hit the word apply. Unless you hit the word apply, it does not happen. Okay, so that's what you should do first. And then you're going to select the image. Okay, so I selected the image and I get some tools. One of them should look very familiar because you just selected it for the text. Insert link. So I'm going to select that and then again type www.otan.us and apply. On the image, we also need to do something very important, add alt text. So you need to describe it. Okay, this is a schema of a website bubble plan in, and then you could list the different bubbles. You could also say this is a decorative image, and then you don't have to put a description. I don't recommend that. I would put actually what does this image represent and describe it, bubble plan, because that will make no sense to anybody who cannot read. I mean, if the reader comes to that and this is website schema bubble plan, what is that supposed to mean? That doesn't really describe it. So make sure you describe the images that you're putting on your site. Okay.
There's also been a question about copyright, but like when you were talking about adding the videos to your Google site, but Penny Pearson, our OTAN colleague, is actually fielding some of those questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you have any thoughts about the copyright issue, but
copyright, if it's on YouTube, it's free. If you create the video, it's yours. So, and we have someone in the house, I'm going to kick her to the curb, Jennifer. She has curated and also created a lot of videos on her YouTube channel, mostly concerning citizenship, I would imagine, because that is her forte. But every video that she has online, she could definitely put it on a site because it belongs to her.
Yeah, but can I just
Yes.
say a little bit about that? Yeah, but YouTube has a specific copyright that says that the content belongs to me, so somebody can't download my videos and then re-upload it as their videos, because they're basically taking my property and then they're making money from that. So, but if you embed it into your website, when you embed things, the creator is still getting money from that video. So right. That's okay.
So
or
this is
put in a link. That's fine. But if you download it to your own computer and re-upload it as your own thing, then that's a violation of copyright and violation of YouTube terms of service.
Right. So again, if you use that YouTube button, you're going to be okay because you're not downloading it, you're embedding it. Okay. And if you upload your own video, I'm not really going to cover that here because there's a lot of nuances to it, but you can do that as well if they are housed in your drive. You're also going to have to share them. Okay. Let's go to doing something else that I wanted to show you. I'm going to go back to pages. I'm going to create another page.
Avocados.
Avocados. Okay. Okay, so we got the avocados page. And the avocados page is in the wrong place, so I'm going to click, hold, and drag it so that it becomes its own top level page. Okay. I don't like the way this is laid out, or maybe I do like the way all of the other pages are laid out, but I want this one to look a little different. So I'm going to use my layouts area right here and click this one. So here I can click to edit text. Okay, I can click the button here and I can, let's see, we can select an image and we're going to use the Google image search, and I'm going to search for avocado. And then we get one, and someone's going to ask the question. I know it as sure as I'm sitting here. Are you allowed to use all these images? No, because they belong to somebody else. But if you make your own, you can definitely use it. Or if they are copyright free, you can definitely use it. Or there are a lot of websites, and if Penny's still in the room, she knows of a few where you can actually add images that are copyright free. They have Creative Commons, blah, blah, blah. So we can, let's see, we can add some text here, picture. Okay, so here is a picture of an avocado on the avocado page. Now, I might also want to add maybe a video about, there we go, avocado toast. Has anybody ever tried it? It's actually pretty good. Avocado toast. I knew there would be a video. You suck at cooking. No, we're not going to do that. How to make avocado toast. By the way, when you're using YouTube, Google doesn't upload YouTube videos. People upload YouTube videos. So not all are equal. All right. So some are better than others and some are really bad. So be careful what you post without looking at it first. Okay, I'm just adding text. This layout has a place where you can add a thing and then have like a title under it, and then you have 3 areas. If I don't like, remember, I'm the builder, so I get to decide. I can click, hold, and drag this thing down here to this section and move it over. So now instead of having 3 across, I have 2 across, and I can still add things to this one from anywhere I want. And let's add a map. Avocado Heights, there you go. And select. Anthony, I bet you didn't know there were so many things about avocados, did you? Dang, remember, when your students see a misspelling, they will tell you.
But there was a question, actually, this is a nice segue, about spell check. And
there is no spell check.
No spell check. Okay,
nope.
Okay.
There's no spell check
there
on
was
site.
A question, I think Jean asked the question about spell check. So
yeah,
no spell check on site.
When you get your pages selected, when you get them all on there and you've got your layouts and it's really cool, you're going to want to look at it first without publishing it. Look at it first. So we're going to use this button way up at the top of my screen. There's an undo and a redo, by the way. It's the same as Control Z or Control Y on your computer, or if you use a Mac, Command Z, Command Y. But right next to that, we've got preview. So here is where responsive design, Google has taken this and is going to show you what this looks like on a computer. I can use the menu. I can go to home and see what things look like. I can go to resources, go to videos. Okay, I can click on the buttons. This is what it looks like on a laptop. If you look down at the bottom of my screen, or yours if you're following along, you see that large screen is selected. This is basically for a laptop or a computer. The next icon to the left is a tablet view. Watch what happens. It gets smaller, doesn't it? So this is how your site responds to a tablet. Is this okay? Maybe it is. Maybe it's fine. But maybe I might want to make this image bigger. Okay, or I might want to make something wider. Or I might want the banner not to be so big because it does take up a lot of space. Okay, so I have to know my users. The next little button over is phone. This is what it looks like on a phone. And you have to scroll. I'm using my mouse to scroll down. This is what someone on a phone would have to do. And we all have to do this, right? We open up a website on our phone and we have to scroll. The menu is now in this little icon next to the name of the site. And this is what a person on a phone would have to do. They would click on the sidebar, they would search for the page they want and click. And then they would have to scroll. And for something like this, they would probably have to be prompted to scroll. Because I'm looking at this, I'm on the avocados page, I see an avocado, that's it, right? Makes sense, doesn't it? Not for a student. The student is not going to know to scroll down, perhaps. Okay, so right here, these little tools, you can go back and forth, back and forth. You have to click the X to exit preview. If everything looks fine and dandy and you're ready to publish it to the world and get the link for your students, now you go to the publish button. And this is where you're going to name your link. This is the first time and only time you will do it. So you can redo it. Some of you are going to have a hard time if you try to have ESL class for remote, because I can guarantee you that's been taken already. I might have a problem with demo for remote. Let's see. Oh, no, I won't, because I'm on a club. So if you're on a pub, if you're on the @gmail.com, you're going to have sites.google.com/something, and then the name of your site at the end. When you're on a pub, lots of people are going to be asking for the same name that you might think is great and grand. So you might have to fiddle with this a little bit to get something that isn't taken already. If you're on a club, and I am, on this, I'm going to scoey.net. This is my club account. I am able to use demo for remote because nobody else at Sacramento County Office of Education has chosen that yet. Also, if you're on a club, you won't have this for the pub, so everybody look at your screen if you're following along. Mine says, who can view my site? And it says, anyone at Sacramento County Office of Education. Well, I want the world to see it. So if you're creating this for class, for your class, and you're on your club, you want people from Yahoo to be able to see it, or at Gmail or Hotmail or whatever. So you have to manage this. So it says published. Anyone at Sacramento County Office of Education can find and view. I'm changing that. And I'm going to select anyone can find and view the published version. Some people are going to want just their students to see the site, and you can do that. Specific people can view when published. But this means you have to share the site with their email address. And if they don't have one, you can't do it. There's other ways around it. So, right, I'm going to leave this here. Anyone can find and view. That means anybody in the world, no matter what their email address is. They don't have to be signed in. And I'm going to save. And then I'm going to hit done. And I'm back to this page where I named my site. And here I'm given the option to request public search engines to not display my site. I select that because that also helps knock down the hits. So I don't appear in many searches, okay? And then I hit publish. When I do that, I get a little drop down arrow next to my publish button. I'm going to click it, and I can see the publish settings that we just saw. I can also review changes and publish, or view published site. This is what I want to do because I want to get the link that my students will be using. I can, again, this is the published site, folks. You could actually go here, sites.google.com/scoey.net/demo-for-remote. If you took that right there and pasted it in a browser, it would come here because it's published. Now, does that mean that my neighbor down the street can do it? Only if I give them the link, because otherwise he doesn't know it exists. Okay, so I will just give this link to my students, and they will be able to go to the site. If somebody else comes in and they learn something from the site, I'm all over that. That's okay by me. Okay. A Google site is not some place where you're going to put information that shouldn't be put on the web, right? So you're not going to put your students' email addresses. You're not going to put your students' ID numbers, or God forbid, their social security numbers. You're not going to put anything related to your students on your site, right? Everybody shake your head yes, because you know better than do that. You're also not going to put any of your personal information on a site.
Melinda?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so we do have kind of a number of sharing questions. Okay, so can you talk again, because you just said it, the last thing you said about being able to find this site. And Catherine asked, can somebody use keywords to find your site? But I thought that you can, doesn't Google give you that little checkbox to say, please don't let it be searchable?
So I'm gonna go to the arrow next to my publish button and go to publish settings. And here's that button you're talking about. Request public search engines to not display my site. So that would help. That would help. Does it?
Okay. But on the flip side,
absolutely preclude it? No. I mean, it's on the web. It's on the web.
If you did want people to find your avocado website, could you add keywords somewhere to your site to make it more searchable?
You can add the word avocado a lot, okay? And the more times and the more hits you get, that will increase your rank, okay? Google sites are not known for rank increasing, especially educational sites, no offense. But if your site gets used a lot, you're going to go up in rank. That's how it works. If you have that checkbox deselected, let me go back to publish settings. If you don't have it selected, that means when people search for the words about avocados, your site will appear somewhere. Out of 50 million sites, you'll be 49,999,999 hit. Nobody's going to scroll down that far. The more your site gets used, the more your site will go up in rank. So are there ways to add meta tags? No. But if you add the word avocado on every page, because you're really into avocados and you want people to know about avocados and love avocados, just avocado yourself to death, and people will get tired of the word avocado on your site, but that will help your rank go up. Okay.
So there's still a couple more questions about sharing. Sure. So Jenny asked about, okay, well, what if I create a Google site and then we get it onto my school website?
Okay.
If anybody comes to the school website and clicks on the Google site, would they automatically be able to get into the site or see the site or whatever?
Yes, they would, because it's a public website. Unless you require sign-in, which is through the share that I showed you. Here we go. So I went to the share button, the little avatar with the plus sign. Okay. And I'm going to go to published. Anyone can find and view. Remember, I opened it up to the world. I'm going to hit the word change. And right here, specific people can view when published. And that means I have to add them on the share. So if they don't have an email address, I can't do that. There are other ways to preclude people from seeing things. So let me show you that. I'm going to add another page so I can show you, let's see, files. And we're going to put, files is in resources, so that's good. By the way, I mistyped files, right? But when I first typed it, I typed it correctly. So you need to, this name right here is reflected over here in your pages bar. So if let me do it opposite. If I make this right here, files, okay, the word is selected, or the word is typed correctly here, but in the menu, it is typed incorrectly. So that means in the menu, it is typed incorrectly. So I have to change it here, not here on my banner. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go to properties. You can also double click on it and you can change the name that way. From here, I'm going to add something from my Google Drive, but Anthony, what was your question?
Can you show us again, let's say you only wanted to share the site with the students in your class and you have the set of their emails.
I really don't think you should do this, but okay. I'm going to click on the share button. All right. Right now it says draft, specific people can edit. Don't ever give your students edit rights on your site. You should all know that. Published, anyone can find and view. So I'm going to change that. And I'm going to click specific people can view and published. I'm going to save. And then I'm going to notify people. And I'm going to notify.
A lot of folks work in ASAP, or they can get into their school's ASAP account. And then in ASAP, you know, one of the things that they can see is the list of email addresses for all their students. So the question was, could I just take those email addresses in ASAP and just drag them right into that invite people box?
You should be able to do that, yeah. And if you have problems with that, then put them in an Excel spreadsheet or a sheet and then copy them. So each one of them is a separate cell.
And that was actually a suggestion. I think Jennifer suggested, download the list into whatever Excel, and then you can just copy and paste them into.
And you copy it, you copy the row or you copy the column, whatever it is, and then you can paste. I put Anthony in, and if I don't remember to change, because it defaults to edit, I don't want Anthony to edit, I want him to view published, right? I need to change that to the little eyeball. You don't necessarily have to notify them. You can if you want. If you deselect this box, or if you select this box, Google's going to send a message to them, or you can add your own personal message. Here you go. Okay, and then I would hit send. I'm also on the cautious side, so I would prevent editors from publishing, changing access, and adding new people. If I wanted to be the sole creator of this website and the manager, and I don't want to give any rights to anybody, I would click that box as well. Okay, and then I hit send. Now Anthony should have gotten a message and he should be able to view the site, but he's the only one that can view the site. And by the way, if any of you went to the site and you're on a page, because I did give out the address, as soon as you leave it, you won't be able to get back, because I made this just Anthony's avocado site.
Melinda, there was a question too from somebody. Does a Google site give you the option to create like a code or a password or anything like that, and that you could send to the students?
No. If you want to add things to, let's say, a Google form, you create a quiz, you could make that password protected by adding sections. Here's another way to keep people from seeing things on your site. I'm going to go to my drive. Okay, let me go back. I'm on the files page. I went to my insert tab. Okay, I'm double clicking on the page, or I'm selecting Google Drive from the insert tool area. Either way, it's going to work. Okay. From here, I get all of my files, and I can search for them, or I can look for the folders, or it gives me a long list. However I want to do it, it's up to me. Here's something. Here is a Chrome Apps and Extensions. It's a slide deck that I created for a presentation. I'm going to hit insert. Okay. Now, I have just shared, or I've just put something on my site. And in doing that, I have not shared it. I've just put it on my site. I didn't share it. I have to share it. Even Anthony, unless this is shared, won't be able to see it. Google Sites pairs really well with Google Tools. So when you want to insert a file from Google Drive, like I'm about to do, it's really simple. Okay, so right now I am getting the shareable link. I went to my document. I am making sure that anyone can view this file. Okay, and when I do that, that means anyone can view the file. So when I put it on my site, guess what? Anyone can view the file if my site's totally open. Okay, but if I just want my students to be able to view this file, then I will put their names in the share. I will make sure that they can view only. I might send them a note. Okay, and then I'm going, hang on just a minute. We need specific. There we go, save. There we go. So you want off, only specific people can access. You name those specific people. You make sure that you don't give them edit rights unless you want them to, right? You add a note if you want, and then you hit send. After I do that, I always go back to check the settings by clicking on the share button and then going to advanced to make sure, yes, specific people can access. I can change that if I want. Here's Anthony. He only has view rights. And right here, I could also, if I wanted to, disable options to download, print, and copy. That means they can't download it, they can't print it, and they can't copy it from the website. Now, go ahead.
So again, actually back on the template question, because the person clarified the question. So actually, what they were asking was, if I create a site, like you created your avocado site, and you kind of talked about this a little bit, but maybe just to clarify. So if I create a Google site, and then I want to duplicate it and send it out to my teachers, and then they could use that as their template.
You would have to, yes, you can duplicate a site and then you would share it with them as collaborators. Then either you guys are working on it together or they can then duplicate the site and then it becomes theirs.
Okay.
So you have to duplicate, or you could just share the site with them and then tell them, duplicate this. Don't change my site, right? You have to duplicate it. So to preclude that from happening, that they do start writing on your site, you would actually duplicate your site, name it template for teachers or template for colleagues. And then when someone asks, hey, can I have that template? You add them to the share and then they duplicate it for themselves. So I've created a file. I'm going to put on the website. I've shared it with Anthony. Only Anthony will be able to see it, or whoever my students are. But I need to get it on my site so that they can access it. There's two ways I can do this. I can get the link from the document. When you open up a document, you can copy that big long link, or you can go to Drive. You can look for the file, which it should have come up here. I'm going to have to find it. Here we go, avocados. And I insert. There it is. It's being cut off. So I'm just going to drag the handles. And there it is. There's my avocado document. So if I had, and I did, I allowed Anthony to be able to click on this and he can download it. But he can't do it yet because I haven't published it. He's only going to see what was created before I did this files. This is new. This is new. So I'm going to have to hit publish again. Publish with confidence. This is new, folks. For those of you that have created a Google site, this just happened within the past few weeks. It's giving you a draft, and then it's telling you what's currently published. These are the changes I made. So I updated avocados. I added files. I can click on any one of these links because this will become a long list over the day, right? So I look here. This is what's been added. This page is not published. So I'm going to hit the publish button. All right. Or if I look at the this page that was currently updated. This is what it looked like before, or this is what it looked like before over here. And notice on this draft, the video looks bigger, right? So I'm comparing the two. I'm going, yeah, this is what, oh, yeah. Or I can go back and make more changes. So I like what I see on both of the things that I've changed recently. I'm going to hit publish. Those will go out to the world. Now Anthony can see this document. Okay, Anthony.
Could we create a shareable link for an entire folder of docs?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, or would it have to be doc by doc sheet?
So let me show you that. I'm going to go to Drive. I'm going to go to folder. Okay, I got to go to a folder. Here we go. We go OTAN, and we're going to get the shareable link. Okay, link sharing is off, it's telling me, so I'm going to turn it on. Now I've got the shareable link. It's copied to my clipboard, or I can double click, and because I don't trust it, and I hit Control-C and copy it. Okay, now I'm going back to my site. So I've got the shareable link of the folder. I'm going to hit this in the inserts area. If you scroll down, you get a lot of cool tools. One of them is button, and I'm going to name this folder. You can name it vocabulary folder. You can name it anything you want, whatever the folder is related to. And here's where you put the link. Paste and insert. And now I can make this, remember I just clicked, held, and dragged it. I can make this a big button. Okay. It's giving me options. I can outline it. There we go. So I could have a bunch of little buttons all over this page if I wanted to. What's this? Oh, that's how you edit the button. So if you test it and you figure out, oh, the wrong link, you can change it by hitting the edit. Text. I like filled. I had to play a little bit. So here's a pop quiz. Can Anthony see this folder button on the site? Trick question. Can Anthony, remember, Anthony is the only one I've shared this site with. Everyone who said that, no, because you haven't published it yet, you are correct. Okay, I haven't published it. So I can put buttons on this site. I can close it. Here, I'll do it. Boom. Done. I turned it off. Does that mean I've lost my site? No. Does that mean that the button went away? No. All it means is I didn't publish it. It's still there waiting for me. So I'm going to open my site back up. We're going to go to the avocados page. Oh, it wasn't on avocados. It was on files. And there's the folder button. But no one would see this until I hit that publish button. So that's something you got to remember that. So you might want to create a website and not publish it for a while because you want to test it. And I totally, that is good to do that, all right? Or you could have a couple of pages, really quick, easy pages with some resources on them, and then you publish it and you send it to your students. And then you work on your site for 2 or 3 days, and then you publish again. 2 questions. Once published, can you unpublish? Absolutely. And can you change a published site? Seems like you said yes. Let's say, this period in time ceases to exist, hopefully soon, and you don't want your site anymore because all of your students are coming back to class. I don't recommend that. I think you're going to get hooked into this site thing, and it's a great place to have resources that are available 24/7 for your students. That's another reason to have a site. But you might want to unpublish it. Okay, so on your publish button, you've got the arrow next to it, and you will see the last thing there is unpublished, the last setting here. So I can unpublish it right now. You're going to get a big scary message. This site will no longer be live. You can still make edits and publish your site again. Got it. Good. Now, Anthony cannot see this site anymore. Okay, even though I shared it with him specifically, no one can see this site anymore because I've unpublished it, and no one can do a find and find it. How do you update every couple days? New spelling words, a quiz? Well, that's up to you. So here's a great thing about adding a document to a site, and if I have shared it, And I will go over that again, but if I've shared it, I can change this document on my Google Drive, and the changes will appear here, and I don't have to do anything. Anything that is in your Google Drive, you can share on a Google site. Whether you want to or not is up to you. So if you're going to be sharing a Word file, I would MP3, yes. I would strongly recommend anything in your Google Drive, anything in your Google Drive can be shared on your Google site. Whether you should or not is another story. Now, you share an MP3. You know what MP3 is, and you even have an MP3 player built into your browser, and when you click on it, it plays. So you think it plays for everybody. But maybe your students don't have it. If your students don't have some way, I mean, the link will be here, right? If this folder button, if that said MP3 and it was supposed to open up the MP3 audio, if they don't have an MP3 type player or app or whatever on their device, then they're still not going to hear it. Okay, there's ways, where there's a will, there's a way. We can make it happen. Okay, but right here, yeah, it should have refreshed. It's the internet. It almost did. It almost did. So if I hit the refresh button again, it's going to go to the other account. But you can see that this word was not there. I started typing, and in that point in time, my internet was good. This will keep updated, so you don't have to keep going back and forth between your this file, okay, and the site, and then re-upload. I think that answered the question. If you put one file on there, it's going to be there. If you want to add another file, then yes, you have to go back to the site to share it. If you have a folder that's been shared, and there are items in it that you're sharing with your students, then whatever you put in that folder, when your student hits this folder button, they'll be able to get those items. Oh, and look, the file did update while we were talking. Just a quick blip, that's all it takes, and it refreshes itself. So as I'm looking at the time, though, I'm seeing that we're a little over, so I'm going to end the meeting here. And please, please, please go to the otan.us homepage for future webinars. We are scheduling them as we speak, and you can see the internet. Wow, it's really slow. Here we go. All right, so there are the different things coming up. Okay? You all have a great day.